You're listening to the Outdoors Group podcast. This podcast is a call to arms to get children and young people outside again. It's your one-stop shop for all things outdoor, child, young person and education related. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Gemma Meredith-Chapman, who's our new outreach manager at the Outdoors Group. She's come to talk to us about this area of our business, what it does, why it does it, and her plans of expanding the community that we work with. We'll be having a ponder about how we can support schools and other groups through our work and the benefits to these communities from working with us. Thanks for joining me today, Gemma.
Oh, nice to be here.
So before we get into the outreach work, I think it'd be great to hear about what you were doing previously. What's your background and how have you come to your current role?
Yeah, so my role, straight before this one, was still with the Outdoors Group, and I was working in the alternative outdoor provision, doing support work out in the woods with students. I was doing it for almost 3 years or so. I lose track of time. So that was really nice. I like working in a supportive role because previous to that I worked for a young carers project.
Okay.
And that was a mix of sort of respite breaks in the holidays, but also emotional support alongside, and kind of going into schools and meeting up with the young carers and working out ways to support them. And then even before that, I worked residentially in for children's holidays, respite breaks.
Okay.
So it used to be called Chicks, and now it's called Go Beyond.
Okay.
But it was basically children would come who just needed a holiday away from home life, be that they were living in poverty or they were young carers themselves, or just needed some time for themselves. So I used to work there running the camp. So I've worked in roles a lot where it's linking up with
so really similar themes.
So coming into this role, it's nice to kind of expand out and think about how we link up with other with schools predominantly and community groups, so that the benefits of Forest School and that nice nurturing supportive environment can be reached out to more people.
Nice. Why did you get into that area of work, this kind of young people and emotional mental health support and things like this? What was it that drew you to it when you were younger?
I don't know really. I guess when I left university, I went back to my waitressing role that I'd done all throughout.
What did you do at uni?
Psychology.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So when it came to that, I was like, what do I want to do? And I've always been drawn to things where it is about connecting with people and supporting others. So my first job was working with individuals with cerebral palsy in a care home, and I did that for several years. But I think after that, it was wanting to move more towards working with children and the energy they bring, the different insights they have. I think it's just quite refreshing. It's nice to just be reminded about things that are important to children, because I think sometimes we get quite bogged down as adults
in grown-up stuff.
That I love what they give back to you at the same time that you're supporting them. So ever since I've kind of shifted to that work, I've not really moved away from it.
Oh, nice. So you've been doing it pretty much your whole career then?
Yeah.
Amazing. So we've been delivering outreach provision at the Outdoors Group for quite some time, but historically we haven't had one person that's organising it all. It's always been a bit of a piecemeal approach. So tell us about what your new job involves and what outreach is going to look like now. Yeah,
so a lot has been bringing what we've already have and working out where that sits and how that's been organised, and learning from the people that put it in place first. So kind of getting all that information first and work it out.
Consolidating it all.
So Debbie's been fantastic source of support in how they've gone out and they've run groups for whole classes and what it's looked like. Then also insights from other areas about what student support we might offer, and within schools, the needs of students across that, where do we sort of tie in and where can we help offer that support alongside schools. So I think we'll continue on with the Forest School provision, because I think it's now recognised across quite a wide broad the benefits of forest school and how nice it is for kids to get to access a bit of time in their week that's about intrinsic learning and self-directed play, getting outside, because so much of our world is indoors now. So definitely like reaching out and still offering those groups, but maybe looking a bit more into what support we can offer for specific students. So if a school, like within their school, they recognise there's some students that could just do with a bit more support and guidance, like being outdoors is an amazing facilitator for that. So I think when you've got children that are struggling for whatever reason and you're able to support them in that kind of forest school environment, then hopefully it could help any students that were struggling, be it that they've got a bit anxiety related to school, or friendship issues that are a bit of a barrier, or they need help like learning how to regulate. Being outdoors is amazing for that. So I think the more we can link up to schools and be like, yes, we offer forest school and we can offer like for your whole classes, but if there's people that are coming out into your mind of like actually they could do with a bit more nurture and support and help to.
And how would that be different from the alternative provision, the one-to-one stuff? Would it be like a cross between the forest school sessions to schools and the one-to-one provision? It was like small groups.
So I suppose with the alternative outdoor provision, it's a referral made to us, and the student comes to our woodlands and kind of settle on that. But we'd probably follow a similar
pathway.
Similar approach by staff, because they've worked with students for a long time. They know what kind of things work, how to build up those really positive relationships and that trust. So following a very similar thing, but catering it alongside the school. So it might just need discussions and working out like actually what's going to work for your school. And if we were to come into the school setting, I guess it's whether there's a few more students that could access at the same time. So whether it's a small group setting where maybe 6 students come to 2 members of staff, and like if there's a similar need within that group and they're able to cope within that small group setting, then there's a few different like approaches we could take. But I think it's all about building up that partnership work with the schools and identifying what they're going to find helpful, and then come back and working out, well, how do we fit in
how do we meet that need?
So as long as we're meeting the needs of the children, the needs of the school, then I think we've got quite a nice amount of flexibility. But being quite new, obviously we've got our ideas of like how it works with the alternative outdoor provision and what works there. So I think we've got good experience and good knowledge, but that flexibility to fit in with what the school's vision is. So
it'd be quite a synergistic approach where kind of you're working together in partnership. Nice. That's a very lovely segue, because I'd like to hear a little bit more about how we can work with local schools. So you just mentioned a little bit about kind of intrinsic motivation and things like that, but what are the benefits to the kids at these local schools of coming to forest school sessions with us?
So I guess like the general benefits of forest school, it's quite holistic, just like getting out in nature itself, like the controlled risk taking that you can do within it. So getting to move a bit, like be out in the outdoors, like there's so much rich environment just from being outdoors and exploring, and kids are natural explorers, and like you kind of follow their lead and like they'll get in that environment, and once they're kind of given that freedom, that trust to kind of follow their interests while being just like guided and shown like, oh, this is something we could do today. I think it's quite freeing in like quite a lot of our lives now, that it's a lot of information, a lot of the time like a bit of space as well, and the importance of play. So getting time to play and have those social interactions with peers and like work out how do you get on with friends. Like it's just it's a really supportive environment to be able to safely like kind of explore those skills and stuff, and everyone to kind of develop alongside. I think it's very community
based
focused. So like alongside schools, I think it just gives them that time in the week to have that space and that exploring, and with like looking at our session plans, if there's curriculum links there.
I was just about to ask, like,
the teachers want to expand upon back in the classrooms. Like we can highlight what ones are like coming up, and then if they're like, okay, we want to further that learning, so we can kind of facilitate that, and then the teachers can run with it if there's like bits of interest that have come up and the students want to like follow on with like their interests.
That was going to be my question, was going to be like, is it kind of on a case-by-case basis whether we just kind of do I say inverted commas, like general forest school kind of programme of, you know, whittling and den building and campfire cooking and firelighting, or like do some schools come to us and say, we're doing, I can't think of any examples of like natural sciences, like, I don't know, we're doing life cycles, like can you somehow fit that in? Like, do we have that flexibility that if someone's got something specific that they'd like to incorporate in, that we can try and do those curriculum links? Yeah,
as long as it like fits in with the forest school.
Yeah, it's not like Vikings, that might be quite tricky.
But just kind of naturally supporting it. So like in the sessions themselves, kind of like things will come up regardless if we plan them or not. And then I think if we can just say like, well, in this session we've covered this. And then I guess that partnership working again, you feed that back into for the class teachers, and then if they've got that information, they know that's what they've been doing out at forest school, then they can like continue that
build on that
and build it on.
Nice. And do we predominantly work with primary schools?
Yes, I'd say like more often than not it's primary schools. It would be lovely to link up with secondaries more. I like help alleviate some of the pressures maybe for older students. I like particularly think if there's at times of exam stress, it might be nice to have that balance in their schedule, to know there's parts of the week where they can
be in the woods,
have a breather, have that time to reflect in that headspace, and just kind of be held with those sessions. So it would be nice to link up with secondary schools, but I'd say predominantly we're known by the primary schools. But I think any teachers that wanted to come forward and have discussions, just open to all ideas really, and what kind of things they think, that could be beneficial. So come with like the benefits of forest school, but how are those benefits going to best suit your
it's interesting,
school?
Isn't it, the kind of gap with the teenage stuff, because we'll talk about it in a little bit, but we do like work with community groups and like adults, and in a workplace where they're the managers have identified that some woodland wellbeing would be really beneficial, and we work with primary school kids. But it's so strange that we've got this gap with the teenagers where, I don't know, what do you think the challenges are that stop people thinking about getting teenagers in? Do you think it's just the pressure of covering all the exam content?
Potentially, and I guess it's maybe that element of play isn't there so much anymore, but I guess then maybe it's structuring those sessions a little bit, so maybe a bit more bushcraft skills and a bit more woodwork incorporated in, and a bit more like this a project we can work on, because I guess teenagers might not naturally get stuck in and play. Lovely if they would still, but I guess it's thinking about, okay, how do those sessions look for them, and what's going to bring the best out for them and feel worthwhile. I guess they probably want to get see that they've got more out of it than just accept that having some time out is enough. But I know in the holidays we run a specific week that's about the older
teenagers,
children accessing, so I sort of following a similar kind of setup to that would be a good starting point, and to say to schools like, this is what's been run,
this is something we can do,
and like we've got the staff that have the experience of running those, so maybe having a bit more practical skills and things to run alongside.
Because if it was I think you find in the home ed groups, don't you, that where they're kind of, I was going to say intergenerational, but it seems weird to say that about small kids and teenagers, but where you've got those mixed age groups, you often find the teenagers playing, but because they're kind of like ostensibly doing it to help the little ones out and stuff. But I guess if you've got that just 15 teenagers in the woods. They haven't got that smaller person to kind of prompt them that it's okay to play. So I guess that's why you need something like a bit more of a kind of, this is our goal today to make a spoon or whatever. That's really interesting. Now I was just going to skip one of my questions and come back to it, because we've just talked about the community groups and how, I just very quickly mentioned that we have people that come to us for a workplace wellbeing day, and so one of our company values is to help create an awesome community, and so part of that does mean that we have been trying to connect with community groups. So tell us about some of the groups that we've worked with and how that's kind of looked for them and how it's benefited them.
Yeah, so something that comes off the top of my head, Debbie runs the Who Let the Dads Out, nice group for dads to bring their children out into the woods and have that bonding time and that space just to kind of come to the woods and play together. And I think that's been hugely popular and running for a long time. And we've had a neonatal group coming out and having that space within the woods and sort of that nurturing environment and the
that's
space
with
and time.
The perinatal mental health team, isn't it?
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, and there's the space to chat about anything that's coming up in quite a nice relaxed environment. There's less pressure there, isn't there? So you might just naturally kind of reach out for that support that you want and have those conversations. And then I've recently been involved, a lady's doing her wilderness therapy course, and as part of it she's running these sessions, and she's linked up with the hotel in Exeter that houses refugees, and she's invited women from that community to come out into the woods, have that time. So we've provided the space for her to be able to do that, because obviously we've got a variety of woodlands that we can utilise. So they've come out, and in the morning we've done campfire cooking, because that's what the group identified as something they really wanted to do, because in the hotel they don't have the facilities to cook for themselves, and it's been something they've missed a lot. And also being sort of central in town and not knowing where you've been placed, getting out can be a bit daunting. So to come out and know what is available, what kind of spaces, because they've come to us in the woodlands in the morning, and we've done cooking all together and shared different languages and different stories, and then in the afternoon she's gone off and taken them to local nature areas, so it's been a combined thing where then she goes off. So they went down to Exmouth Beach, they went to Meldon Reservoir, so just being this is the nature that's around, because I think so vital to know you can get out and nature's for everyone, and to remove some of those barriers that might have been there for some of the women, and to show them what's around and what's accessible. It's been lovely to be
That's
part
such a
of.
lovely project to be part of. Really
it's been
nice.
incredible, and it's such a nice group, such a nice thing to be part of, and just come together as a little community in the woods. That's been really positive.
That sounds like a really lovely one. And I know that we had, I think it was a one-off session with the, see if I can remember it correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the NHS ADHD adult team, the people that do the ADHD adult diagnosis, they came for woodland wellbeing as a staff day last year, and I still just remember the kind of feedback they gave, and one person said, I hate these staff days usually, whenever they're we're going for a team building day, it's terrible. They were but this was actually a genuinely really nice, really lovely day, and I just thought that's so nice to be able to give, the NHS isn't corporate, but what I mean, kind of those businesses or, that workspace, a different approach for team building and well-being than just your kind of, I don't know, sitting in a room with a PowerPoint all day.
I think sometimes, obviously I've worked with the outdoors group for a while now, and you can forget how lovely our woods are. They're great, and but you go and spend every day, and I love them, but it's sometimes seeing that with new eyes, someone else coming in and being I'm so happy here, I just want to spend all day here, I don't want to go back, and having that insight into the first time someone coming out to one of our settings and being this is just a nice place to be for the day, it's I think the more people we can link up with, because obviously we've got the facilities there, so if there's people that want to get out and access nature but also have some facilities there on site, so you can boil some water on the fire, use your compost toilets, which a bit of a learning curve
for some people.
But we've got the tarps up, so we can get out when even the weather's not amazing, and I think it's just a nice area for any groups to be able to come out with and be able to experience together, because I just think it's just a calmer environment in general.
What kind of groups are you hoping to work with? Just more of the same, being open to around?
Completely open to whatever groups find out about us and are just like, we would like to get involved. So I don't really think there's much limit to the community groups, really. Anyone that would like to get their group outside, be that for like one-offs, or they want a more continuous, like, we're going to come, whatever their setup and works for them, like, as long as we've got the availability and like the staffing for them to come in and utilise it, then I think it could be anyone.
Nice. Excellent. So the third prong, which I just should have asked you about a minute ago, but I just got distracted by what I thought was a nice segue, was, as a company, we've got obviously a particular focus on working with young people with special educational needs and neurodiverse learners. How are we kind of planning to support these people through our outreach provision? Like, obviously we've got the alternative outdoor provision, but will outreach do kind of any other bits to support these kind of learners?
I think Forest School in general supports neurodivergent learners, for all learners in general, but yes, particularly I think just the environment itself relieves a lot of the stresses that some might find within a classroom setting, so it kind of alleviates all of those. So I know going back quite a while, we had a learner who was able to access school the rest of the week, but that one day a week with us was kind of like the reset and like the time to just move and like be high energy and kind of follow lots of different interests, because that existed, then the rest of the week was manageable rather than like getting to a point of overwhelm. So
that makes sense.
I think it can be so tailored to how it fits for any individual, but I think it naturally suits those that just find being outdoors calmer and a bit freeing, and that you can still have time, like a safe space within that wood, so if you still need time within that, it's not as confined, and so that desire to kind of get out of stressful situations isn't as high, I don't think. I think like so much of the environment itself is a facilitator in our work. Like obviously the staff are really like supportive and will meet the children where they are and get to know them, build that really positive relationship and work out techniques with them about how they're going to cope in situations. But I do think that being set outside sets you up so much more for success. So we're really lucky in that sense, and I guess whether we can help utilise that across like schools and say like this does work for a lot of students, and it just kind of gives that space and stress relief to be able to process stuff in a bit supported by that environment. So I think we could do a lot of work alongside schools as they're finding their students that are just finding that classroom setting quite challenging and to work, but then completely individually. So you meet a child, you build that relationship, and then you're working alongside together. So things that work you keep going with, things you try and they don't,
you stop,
can get dropped aside. And then keeping up that communication with the school, and it's like saying these things are working here, hopefully like that will then translate to working in other other environments too. So I think it's all just about building up those key relationships around the child and all working towards the best outcomes for them.
Amazing. Nice. What are you most excited about in your new role? What is it that you're hoping to achieve?
Something I love about my new role is that it's still set within my old team.
Yeah.
So obviously we're combining with Forest School, but we've always linked really closely with those guys too. So I think the fact that we're all moving forward together is really exciting. There's lots of really good ideas, lots of discussions, and it's such a supportive group of people that I'm just excited that whatever kind of comes up and is like, oh, actually this is an area that we could help develop, that we've got passionate people behind that, and people like keen to get involved in all the different things we offer, like based in Forest School. So yeah, I think it's the people that I get to work with, really, and then hopefully making those differences to as many kids as we can, really.
I mean, that's a great goal to have.
Yeah.
Nice. So I know, as we've said, it's a new position for you, but you have been working for us for a few years in another role. So I'd love to hear any standout memories or anecdotes of how the work that we do has kind of impacted a young person or a group of young people positively.
Yeah, so I had a learner a while back. There was an emergency placement with us. They were in foster care and there was a risk of the placement completely breaking down. So they came to us quite quickly, but they just embraced the session so fast. Like as soon as she was on site, like she was just so engaged and so happy to be there, and like that relationship was really easy to build alongside her and kind of like just support her alongside some other learners. But it just seemed quite freeing for her. So obviously there was quite a lot of stress going on for her in her own life and a lot of different things to balance, but she came and just played and like just the sense of freedom and the way she kind of approached it, and like it was just lovely to be part of. Like she brought so much energy, and she would play games, and like sometimes within those games there was topics that you could see possibly came from her past and stuff, but it was held in a safe space, like through that play. I mean, it's an outside interpretation, and I could be completely wrong, but it seemed as if she was like using that play to kind of process things that were going on for her. And if it was amazing, if she was just playing,
that's also still great as well.
Great, but she was really great.
And did her foster placement break down, or did it survive?
No, it managed. It was maintained, and I think it just gave that space to both sides, and was able just to reset a bit. And so that was really positive to be a part of her journey.
Nice. And also interesting, I was just thinking like that your example was about a girl, because there seems to be a real emphasis on a lot of our the kids we learn with are boys, and I always wonder why that is. Why it is that they whether it's that they are more likely to access it, or that they're struggling more. I don't know. Like, have you got any thoughts about that? Because it does, like when I look at kind of lists of learners, it does seem like it's very boy heavy, and I always wonder why that is. Yeah,
I'd say there's a general shift in recognising how needs in girls present a lot differently from boys, but I think we're probably quite in the early stages.
Yeah, we're on the cusp of it.
That.
Okay.
So I guess sometimes more historically, when a boy needs extra support, maybe that's recognised a bit quicker. Like the behaviour is recognised and being like, oh, actually, like this would help them. Whereas with girls, and a bit more masking and a bit more coping, being able to cope in those environments, but maybe externally coping in those environments, but internally not. So that's probably harder to identify, and it's not so obvious, like, oh, actually that that girl might be struggling and might be having this on because they might just be able to mask and get through the day. It might be more that comes out when they get back home and all the emotions are bubbling there. So I guess it's just trying to recognise as much as possible about knowing what needs might present completely differently. And it I would say we do tend to get a lot more boys referred in, and sometimes girls. But I think it's just that recognition that maybe the behaviours we're seeing might not be as easy to recognise in girls.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sorry, completely off topic. I was just curious. I was like, I was like, actually, we don't hear much about girls in the woods. But we do at the forest school provisions. But with the kind of the supporting kids with SEN needs, it does seem to be predominantly boys. So but maybe there'll be a shift now. Maybe we'll start to see it kind of more 50-50.
Yeah, God love everyone just to be out in the woods
exactly.
regardless.
Yeah, everyone that needs to be. Yeah. Exactly. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us about today that we haven't covered?
Not that I can think of right now.
I think we've done pretty good analysis of what you're up to with the new role. It's very exciting to see it develop.
No, it's I'm liking that it's a mix of building on what we already have in place, but then looking to what else can we offer?
We do? Yeah.
We've got a lot of experience and enthusiasm within the team, and it's exciting to see where we go with
that now. Nice. Thank you for your time today. You're such a star. But I've been asking everyone the last 3 questions to finish. I nicked this from another podcast years ago, but I think it's a nice idea. So my first question is, how do you relax?
I like to read, listening to music, getting outdoors. So not just the woods. I love being at the sea.
Are you a beach bum?
I like being in the water. And I grew up on the moors, really.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Any outdoor landscape, and I'm happy.
So you've been in the sea over the weekend during the heat wave?
Yeah, it wasn't actually as warm as I thought it was going to be, but I went in anyway.
Where were you in? Because I went down in Torbay and it was quite warm down there.
I went to Sidmouth, but on the Sunday and the wind had picked up. And it did rain.
It did rain,
But I was like, oh well, we're
still
here now.
going. We're going in, absolutely. And what are you reading or listening to right now? I know that you're a bookworm because we've talked about your trip to the Hay on Wye Literary Festival, so I'm sure you're going to have a great answer for this. Yeah,
so I'm reading a Natalie Haynes book. The title's gone completely out of my head, but it's about Medusa.
Okay.
I think it's Stone Cold, maybe.
Okay.
That might be the title. So it's Greek myth retold from a female perspective. So obviously you have the Medusa story, and just that she's this gargoyle and has to be defeated, but it's all her story from beforehand and stuff. So that's been really good. And then I'm listening to an audiobook too. So,
two at once. Do they get confused in your head, or is that okay?
It's okay at the moment, but I normally stick to one book,
one
but
time.
I got a bit carried away.
I know, I realised that it's meant to be our company book club in a fortnight, and I haven't started the book yet, and I picked it up yesterday and thought, this is very small font and a lot of pages. So I was like, I'm not sure whether I'm going to read it in 2 weeks, but we'll see.
Yeah, I need to read that one too.
And finally, why is being outdoors important to you?
I guess similar to what it is for the kids. It's that space and the calmness that comes with it, just stepping away from the screens occasionally, because now with phones and constant entertainment, I think it's just quite nice to get back outdoors and just be in nature and appreciate it, really, because we might see it every day and stuff and forget about how important it is, but it's vital to us, and we're part of nature. So I think it's great for mental well-being and connecting with others.
Nice, good answer. Thanks so much for your time today, Gemma. You're a star.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. A big thank you to Gemma for giving up some time out of her busy schedule to come and talk to us about her work as the new outreach manager at the Outdoors Group. It was really interesting to hear what she had to say and her plans for this area of the business. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, please do subscribe to it, rate it, share it with your friends, do all the things that mean that more people will find us. That was the last episode in season 6 of the Outdoors Group podcast. So we'll be taking a break for a couple of months and then we'll be back with season 7, and we're already really busy planning some fantastic episodes with some brilliant guests for that. So until then, why not go back through the last 6 seasons to check out any episodes that you might have missed, and we'll be back in September. And until then, thanks for listening.